Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are tackling something that I honestly find a bit intimidating. We're looking at a text that claims to be a lost manuscript from one of the real heavyweights of history.
It is a heavy one, but it's also, I think, incredibly beautiful.
We're talking about Ibn al-Arabi, the 13th century Sufi mystic. People call him the greatest master, which is, that's a pretty high bar to clear.
Yeah, it is.
And the story with this specific text, KITΑB al-TAJALLީ al-AKHÍR, or the Book of the Final Theophany, is that it's his swan song.
That's the tradition, yeah. The idea is that these were disclosures given to him in Damascus right at the very end of his life. He'd already written these massive encyclopedias of spirituality he's famous for, things like the Meccan Revelations.
He thought he was done.
He thought he was done. Empty tank.
But then, what, one last download?
Exactly. A vision apparently told him there was one last secret to share, something the world just wasn't ready for until that precise moment. So this is not introductory material. This is the deep end of the pool.
And the premise is just wild. When I hear Final Theophany or End of Time, my brain immediately goes to, like, Hollywood apocalypse,
right?
Meteorites, zombies, stock markets crashing. But that's not what he's talking about, is it?
Not at all. And this is probably the hardest hurdle for us moderns to clear. We are obsessed with linear time. We think the end is some date on a calendar we haven't reached yet.
Yeah.
Ibn al-Arabi is arguing that the Final Theophany, the ultimate revealing of what reality actually is, isn't a future event. It is happening constantly right now.
Okay, that's a lot to process. If the end of the world is happening right now, why do I still have to pay my taxes? Why does everything look so messy and incomplete?
And that is exactly the question the book sets out to answer. It's all about peeling back that layer of mess to see the end that's sitting right underneath it.
Okay, so if we're going to peel back these layers, we have to start where the text starts. And weirdly, it starts by, like, picking a fight with philosophy.
It does. It goes right after the classic existential question. Why is there something rather than nothing?
Which feels like a fair question. I'm here, this microphone is here, we could have just not been here.
But Ibn al-Arabi says that question itself is a trap. It assumes that nothing is a real alternative to something.
Oh.
Like there's a shelf with existence on it and another shelf with non-existence on it, and God just picked one.
And he's saying there is no second shelf.
Precisely. If there were truly nothing, an absolute void, you couldn't even compare it to anything. Nothing isn't there to be an alternative. So the dynamic isn't something versus nothing. The dynamic is hidden versus manifest.
Hidden versus manifest. Okay, unpack that for me.
The text leans on this very famous spiritual tradition where the divine says, I was a hidden treasure, and I love to be known, so I created the creation so that I might be known.
I was a hidden treasure. I've always loved that line. It's so poetic.
It changes everything, though. It means creation isn't something God make, like a carpenter makes a table, separate from himself. Creation is the hidden treasure showing itself. The universe isn't a separate object. It's a selfie of the divine.
Okay, I'm with you on the poetry of it. But let's get back to this time issue.
Yeah.
If the end is now, why does it feel like time is dragging on? Why do we have history? The text has this image of a spider web that I found really trippy.
It's one of the most powerful analogies in the whole book. Imagine a spider sitting right in the center of a web. That spider represents the final theophany, the eternal present, the now.
Okay, spider is the now.
And the web is time. The text says time is secreted from the present moment.
Just secreted.
Yeah, just like a spider spins a web out of its own body.
So time comes out of the present. We usually think the present is just a blip on a timeline moving from past to future.
He completely flips it. The present is the source, time is the residue. The problem, according to Ibn al-Arabi, is that we, the little flies, get caught in the web. We get stuck in the sequence of yesterday, today, tomorrow, and we become blind to the spider. We see the history, the timeline, but we miss the source that is generating it right this second.
So we're trapped in the timeline, missing the fact that the generator of the timeline is sitting right there in the center.
Yes. And getting to the end doesn't mean waiting for the web to run out. It means climbing along the strand back to the spider.
That reminds me of the story he tells about the woman in face, the knower he meets.
The female Gnostic, yes. And this is so important because he's explicitly validating her spiritual authority. He asks her what it's like to know this reality, to see the spider, essentially.
And her answer is wild. She talks about being the dreamer and the dream at the same time.
She describes the divine experience of us, and it's not mechanical. She uses words like delight and surprise.
Which, again, stop the bus. God is surprised. I thought the whole definition of God was knowing everything that's going to happen.
The text makes a really subtle distinction here. It says God knows all possibilities, every potential outcome. But when a possibility actually happens, when it bursts from the hidden into the manifest, it has a different taste.
A taste.
Think of a musician, a composer who writes a symphony. They know every note on the page, the structure perfectly. But the moment the orchestra actually plays it, the moment those sound waves hit the air, there is a fresh delight in hearing it realized.
Right.
That's what our lives are to the real. We are the melody being played.
That makes existence feel less like a test we're all failing and more like art. But if we are this melody, man, there are a lot of discordant notes. There are a lot of mosquitoes in the orchestra.
And you're touching on the next big section, the breath of the merciful.
Nafas al-Rahman.
Right. The idea is that the universe is God exhaling. Every creature, every rock, every star is a word spoken in this breath.
But why the variety? I mean, why not just one perfect creature? Why do we need billions of different people, let alone bugs and viruses?
That's because the divine names are infinite.
Divine names. We need to define that. We're not just talking about titles like king or lord.
No, not at all. Think of the divine names like the periodic table of elements for reality. You have fundamental elements, the life giver, the slayer, the provider, the patient, the avenger, the loving. These are the building blocks.
The periodic table of God. Got it.
Now, these elements are dynamic. They want to be expressed. They want to interact. If you only had one creature, you couldn't show the interplay of all these infinite combinations. You need a universe of infinite variety to act as a mirror for infinite attributes.
And this leads to the part of the manuscript that actually made me laugh out loud, the fly.
The annoying fly buzzing around your head.
I've swatted plenty. But the text claims that fly is...
What?
A spiritual teacher.
It claims that that fly is a unique chemical formula of the divine names. It's a specific conjunction of attributes, maybe a little bit of the annoyer, a bit of the persistent, a bit of the living. That specific mix has never existed before, and it will never exist again.
So when I swat it...
You are witnessing a collision of theophanies. It's your set of divine names interacting with the fly's set. The text doesn't say, don't swat it. It says, don't be asleep while you swat it.
Whoa.
Realize what is actually happening. It's a meeting of the real with the real.
This gets right into the most controversial idea in Sufism, doesn't it? The unity of being. Watat al-wujud.
One existence. It's the idea that there is only one reality, one existence, acting through all these different forms.
The text uses the colored glass analogy here. I found this really helpful because otherwise it starts to sound like I am God, which is usually where people get into a lot of trouble.
Right. That's the heresy danger zone.
Yeah.
And the analogy saves it. Imagine pure white sunlight. That's the one existence.
Okay.
Now imagine that light hitting a stained glass window.
So bands are red, some are blue, some are yellow?
Exactly. When the light hits the red glass, it looks red. The creatures, you, me, the fly, we are the glass. The existence fueling us is the light. Now, you can't say the red glass is the sun. That's just wrong. But you also can't say the red light is separate from the sun.
So my redness,
Yeah.
my personality, my ego, everything that makes me me, that's the glass.
Yeah.
But the fact that I am here at all, that's the light.
And this leads to the paradox the Gnostic has to live in. I am nothing because the glass without the light is just pitch black. And I am his everything because the light passing through me is the real.
That is heavy. But let's shift gears. We've talked about the spiderweb, the breath. Now we need to talk about where this is all happening. Segment 3 introduces the imaginal world.
Alam el-Mithal.
Now, I have to be the skeptic here. When I hear imaginal, my brain hears imagineer. I hear unicorns, tooth fairies, stuff we just make up in our heads.
Sure.
But the text seems to take this very seriously, like it's a real geography.
It's not imaginary, meaning fake. Think of it this way. You have a computer. You have the hardware, the chips, the circuits. That's the physical world.
Okay.
Then you have the software code, the zeros and ones running deep in the system. That's the spiritual world.
Hardware and code.
Okay. But you, the user, you can't see the electricity, and you definitely icons, windows, a cursor. The imaginal world is the interface of reality.
The interface.
It's the layer where meanings take on form.
Meanings take on form. Give me an example from the text.
The author describes a vision he had in a mosque in Konya. The walls become transparent, and he sees the city of light. The people there are translucent, and their shapes look different. They look like their dominant quality.
So if someone is wise, they literally look like wisdom.
Exactly. In our physical world, a crook can look like a saint. The hardware hides the code. But in the imaginal world, the interface, the icon, matches the program. You wear your soul on the outside.
And this connects to why he calls time a mercy, which, again, I struggle with. Time feels like the enemy. It ages us. It kills us.
The manuscript calls time God's gentleness. Imagine if you clicked every single file on your computer at once.
A total system crash. Blue screen of death.
Exactly. If we experienced every joy, every pain, every revelation of our existence simultaneously, we would be annihilated. Time is the drip feed. It spreads the reality out so that we can process it. It's a buffer zone.
That actually makes sense. It's a throttle on the intensity.
But then comes the warning.
Die before you die. Yeah, that's the catchy slogan of the mystics.
It's practical advice about this interface. It means learn to see the code behind the icons now while you're alive. Because if you do that, then when you actually die and the physical hardware drops away, you won't be shocked.
Because the afterlife is the imaginal world.
Yes. If you only believe in the physical hardware, the afterlife will be incredibly disorienting. It will be a world of pure meaning that you just don't know how to navigate. But if you've practiced seeing the spider behind the web, death just feels like taking off a heavy coat.
Speaking of the afterlife, we have to talk about the controversy. This text has some very spicy takes on the stuff religion usually yells about. Hell, women, and the body? Let's start with hell.
It's a fascinating perspective. The text affirms hell is real. Fire, pain, the whole works. But it claims that hell is ultimately an act of mercy.
How on earth do you get mercy out of eternal combustion?
The analogy is surgery. Imagine you have a gangrenous limb or a tumor. The surgeon has to cut it out. It hurts, it bleeds, it burns. But the intent of the surgeon is to save you, not to torture you.
So the fire is burning what?
The veils, the false self, the ego, the lies we told ourselves. Hell burns away everything that isn't you, so that the true you can remain. It's purification, not vengeance.
So everyone makes it out eventually.
In this text view, ultimately the mercy encompasses everything. The surgery ends when the patient is cured.
Okay, that's the fire. Now let's talk about the feminine. Usually in these old medieval texts, women are, well, let's be honest, they're usually treated as a distraction. Avoid women, focus on God.
And Ibn al-Arabi just flips that completely upside down. He argues that the feminine is actually the blueprint of the cosmos. He links the feminine to the concept of Rama mercy. In Arabic, Rama shares a root with Rafim, which means womb.
Okay, a linguistic connection.
But it's metaphysical for him. He says creation happens through receptivity, the ability to receive a seed and nurture it into life. That is the feminine principle. And since the universe is created by God breathing into the possibilities,
The whole universe is receptive.
the entire universe is essentially feminine in relation to God.
So we are all, metaphysically speaking, female.
In relation to the Creator, yes, we are receptive. He even quotes a tradition where the prophet says he was made to love three things: perfume, women, and prayer. Ibn al-Arabi argues he loved women not just for, biological reasons, but because they represent the secret of creation itself, that capacity to bring the hidden into the visible.
It's not a distraction, it's the mechanism.
Exactly. And that leads right to the body.
Right, another thing religious people usually hate. The flesh is weak. Transcend the body.
This text calls the body holy. It says the body is the seal of the spirit.
Yes.
Think of a letter. The spirit is the message inside. But the wax seal protects it and makes it official. Without the body, the spirit has no way to ground itself.
Is that why Islamic prayer is so physical, all the bowing and prostrating?
Yes. The text argues you can't just think spiritual truths. You have to enact them with your limbs. Your physical posture downloads the spiritual reality into the clay. So don't hate the vessel. The vessel is what allows the wine to be held.
I like that. We're not trying to escape being human. We're trying to be fully human.
Precisely.
Okay, we're nearing the end of the manuscript. Segment 5 deals with prayer and the actual end. We've talked about physical prayer, but he redefines what's happening internally.
We usually think of prayer as a monologue. I am down here, little old me, talking to God up there.
Right.
The text says, no, prayer is God speaking to God through the form of the servant.
Wait, if I'm praying, God is praying to himself.
Through you. Remember the unity of being, the light through the glass. When the human says you to God, it is the divine recognizing itself in the mirror of the human. It transforms prayer from a duty into a cosmic dialogue of self-recognition.
But what about when the line goes dead? What about when you pray and you just get silence?
The text calls this the divine ruse, makr Allah.
A ruse, like a trick.
Like a plot. The text says when God seems to hide, or puts obstacles in your way, or doesn't answer, it is severity used to test sincerity.
So he's playing hard to get.
He's expanding your capacity. If you only pray when you get a cookie, you're a merchant, not a lover. The silence forces you to dig deeper, to call louder. The silence creates the space for a bigger echo.
That's a tough pill to swallow when you're in the silence, but I get the logic. So bring us to the finish line, the title. The Final Theophany. What actually happens?
The text describes the standard stuff, the gathering of souls, the dispersal into paradise or hell, but then it hints at a secret third movement.
The secret ending.
A return. It suggests that eventually, even the distinction between paradise and hell is transcended. The whole play of separation ends. The spider consumes the web.
And we all just go back to the source.
We go back to the essence. And interestingly, he mentions that the names ruling the world change. He says our current age is dominated by the tension between the abaser, the one who lowers, and the exalter, the one who raises.
Which is why history is a roller coaster of empires rising and falling.
Up and down, forever. But the next configuration, he says it will be dominated by peace and light.
I think we could all use a shift to that operating system.
Definitely.
So we've covered the metaphysics, the spider webs, the surgery of hell, the periodic table of God. How does a book like this end? What's the takeaway for the person listening to this on their commute?
The final counsels are so simple. After all this high-altitude flying, Ibn al-Arabi lands the plane right on the ground.
What's the advice?
Don't just believe, experience. That's number one. Don't take his word for it. Taste it. Then, pray even when dry, and serve others.
Why serve others?
Because if you really believe the metaphysics, the person you're serving is a face of the real. Serving your neighbor is literally serving God.
And then there's this phrase about a ladder.
Kick the ladder away.
What does that mean?
It's the classic danger of spirituality, isn't it? You fall in love with the map and forget about the territory. He's saying these words, this manuscript, even our discussion today, it's just a ladder. It helps you get to the roof. But once you're on the roof...
You don't carry the ladder around with you.
Exactly. You let it go so you can actually enjoy the view. If you worship the book, you've missed the point of the book.
The text has a beautiful sign-off, doesn't it? It blesses the minerals who have no life and the angels who have no bodies.
It embraces the whole spectrum. It leaves absolutely nothing out.
It really leaves us with a provocative thought. If this final theophany, this ultimate revealing, isn't a future event, but it's happening right now.
Then the question is, can you see it?
Right. If the person sitting next to you on the bus, or the barista making your coffee, is wearing a mask of the real, can you see the face beneath it?
That is the challenge. To live as if the end is already here. To see the spider in the web.
A deep dive into the ocean of meaning indeed. Thank you for helping us decode this lost manuscript.
It was a pleasure.
And to you, listening, keep your eyes open. You never know who or what you're looking at. Catch you next time.